Hey, what's going on, Wealthy Legacy Journeyers? Welcome back to the Wealthy Legacy Journey. I'm your host, Kendell Liden, and the title of today's episode is The Pain of a Startup Company. And today we're going to be talking about the stress, the people, and the processes, specifically what we've been facing here at Ambition X Real Estate. Now, before I jump too far, let me just apologize. It's been 6 weeks since I've published an episode on the Wealthy Legacy Journey, which is a very long time. Even if I drop a week or two, it might be something like that. But to drop 6 weeks, that's a ton. So I'm so sorry. But I'm sure you can guess by the title of today's episode, it has been extremely eventful around here. By the time I get to the end of the week, I usually record these on Friday. I've just been absolutely whooped. I come back into a new week, and there is tons and tons for me to do. This is the first week that I feel like, wow, I finally actually made some good headway on some bigger tasks that I've been working on. And so I just wanted to kind of share a little bit about the breakthroughs that we've had, mainly inside of the company, also some other investment breakthroughs that we're going to be talking about today. But I'm just going to start off on a very real, raw, and personal note here. The stress has been waking me up in the middle of the night some nights. The stress of the brokerage here. I, in fact, let Nathan know it was either this week or last week. I just remember reaching out to him and I was like, man, I'm just gonna be honest with you. I need some prayer. Like the stress of all the things that we have to do and overcome, it's just been a lot to carry. One of the things that's been just extremely helpful for me is in the evenings before I go to sleep, just to spend time in worship and prayer to the Lord, making sure that's one of the first priorities of my day as well. And that just really helps the day get started off right. And I'm sure if you're in the middle of a startup yourself, you won't be surprised if you're thinking about it though. Taking a process that's working good and making it great by yourself, already difficult, right? And I've done that a couple times. This is the first time that I've gone, let's take an idea that is good and scale it across a team. But we're both building the process and the team at the same time. Pros and cons to that, but building all that up at one time can be a little bit of a difficult, daunting process, right? And it's proven to be challenging. And so even, for me, I think about every day that the doors are open here at Ambition X Real Estate, it costs us, X. And every day that we're open, on average, we're earning Y. And if you can see my hands right now, if you're watching the video, you can see that our costs are greater than our expenses. And so every day that the doors are open right now, we're losing money. And so one of my big jobs is figuring out how can we right the ship. Now, we've had a lot of things go right. We've already sold $8 million worth of inventory this year as a real estate brokerage. But quite a bit of that has been discount listings that we've been pushing through. We have had some more recent wins. I'm going to talk about that here in just a moment. But it's really just been one foot in front of the other. How do, at the very beginning of this, back in February of 2025, this year, we were building out the sell team. That sell team is much stronger now. We have a core sell team. In fact, they met today. We've got about 5 agents. All of them are very strong agents. I'm very excited to see where that team can go in order to move all of that. They're really those discount listings that brought a bunch of listings our way that we're able to turn around and market. From there, we've also got our marketing team. We've got our transaction coordinator. As you guys know, if you've been keeping up with the show, one of the big things that I'm currently working on right now is building out our leads team, working with those traditional buyer and those traditional seller leads. In the process, there's really kind of marketing. You get those leads in the door, work them all the way through to appointments and representation agreements. And then from there, you have a transaction coordinator that takes care of the paperwork. In my mind, it was going to be all the leads come in. The agents are going to sift through the leads. They're going to work all those leads. They're going to warm them up. They're going to take them to hot, and they're going to convert those into deals and work them all the way through. I realized very quickly that process was not going to work. What they needed is, in the real estate world, we call it an inside sales agent. That's not an uncommon thing in most sales pipelines. There's typically someone that works those cold leads into warm, hot leads, ready for some type of appointment. And then from there, you have a higher level salesperson who takes those appointments and tries to turn them into closed deals. So there's like a two-step handoff there. Really, whenever you look at that process, I realized, oh, we need this inside sales agent role. And that's been a huge part of what I've been working on over the last 6 weeks. In fact, over the last 6 weeks since the last time that we talked, maybe even just into the last episode that I had, we've been having interviews. I've had well over 30 interviews with different individuals, both in person and virtual. Originally, this role was supposed to be an in person role. We had several interviews. I was reaching out to people on LinkedIn. I did a job on LinkedIn. We started posting Facebook. We were putting lots and lots of stuff out there, trying to get the right person to engage. Even though we had lots of details inside of those job descriptions, I kept having a lot of people reach out. I had well more than 30 calls. I had tons of phone calls, probably only about a half to a third of the phone calls that I had actually matured into interviews. And then as we were going through the interview process, there was really only a couple people that stood out. One guy in particular, and I can't remember if I had mentioned this in the last episode, he had said yes. I was so excited. I felt so much relief. It was like after 2 weeks of trying to find somebody. It was right before I left town for the lake for like half a week, and I was like, "Oh, it's gonna be such a relief to know that this spot's covered." Shortly after we said yes to him, he actually texted me back and said, "Hey, actually, I'm gonna have to go back on that. I'm not gonna take this role." And I was like, "You're kidding me." This guy, he had a telemarketing background. He understand calls. He's been in a call center before. He's working on getting his real estate license. Like, seemed to me like he was the perfect fit for the job. After that, spent more weeks digging into, like I said, LinkedIn, a lot more into LinkedIn, seeing if I could find somebody there. I did a lot of research about how to hire candidates, where to find people. And you got to think, like, I'm no HR specialist. My job, my goal in life was never to learn how to hire people excellently or anything like that. So on the fly, while I'm trying to do all these other things that I have to do to keep the brokerage running and trying to take calls and working really as that ISA to do my best, like warm up leads and pass them over to my agents to prove this out, I'm also looking for this person to perform this role. So searching, searching, searching. We finally ended up reaching out to. I take it back a step. So we ended up having someone reach out to us, and they're a virtual inside sales agent. Now, I was a little bit hesitant about that virtual process at first, but I thought, you know what does it hurt to have a conversation with this guy? Had a conversation with him, went amazing, got references from him, worked with a couple different teams, real estate teams around the US, called up his references. They were decent, I would say if you were going to grade them like 70, 80%, but I was like, hey, that's good enough for me, especially with the lower cost. Nathan interviewed him as well. We were both like, man, this dude seems like the guy. End up hiring him. So you got to think first guy that I interviewed said yes, then he ended up saying no. He fell through. Weeks later of more interviews, finally felt like we found somebody else. I was like, oh, finally I found relief again. We actually hired him. We paid him 2 weeks up front, which looking back was not wise on my part. I've dealt with contractors before in the construction space, and I'm sure you can already guess where this story is going. We had our onboarding appointment set on a Friday. No showed me, no communication, nothing. Finally got back to me late Friday night. Hey, I'm so sorry, family emergency. I can't tell you how many times with contractors I've heard that same rhetoric. I'm sure that there has been some point in history that it has been true, but for it to be true that many times over the course that I've worked with contractors, it just seems statistically improbable. But I don't know for certain, right? So we rescheduled for Saturday. We scheduled to a time that, he requested an hour before that time on Saturday. Guess what? He canceled that appointment, asked if we can meet up later. At this point, if I hadn't already paid him, I would have just cut it off right there. But man, we'd already paid him 2 weeks at $8 an hour, like $640. So I was like, I'm partially invested. Let me keep going. We'll try to make this work. So then Monday, we meet up, we do a good onboarding. Monday seems like it's going great. He was supposed to be working from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. That was his kind of 8 hour shift. Well, we get to about 3 o'clock, and I send him a message, and I don't hear anything. And then I have leads calling in, and they're not getting answered. And then I had somebody text into our system, into our CRM, and no answer. So then I message him again, no answer. So then by this point, it's pretty obvious to me. Oh, he's again, while he's supposed to be here answering calls, he's not. So now I'm in the CRM, I'm taking calls, I'm answering messages. The first day that I thought I was going to have some relief and reprieve, I'm back in here doing the job that I've just paid someone else to do. Did I mention the pain of a startup company. Yeah. So that's a part of it. Um, so then, fast forward to Tuesday, I'm reaching out to him. I've emailed him at this point. I'm like, hey, is everything okay? Where are you at? Finally gets back to me, and long story short, gets upset that I've basically called him out for not showing up. Like, he didn't log into the CRM on Tuesday, didn't make any calls on Tuesday. But then when I asked him what was going on, he said I was micromanaging him, and if this was how the process was going to be, he didn't want to, work for us. And I was like, hey, I'm not trying to micromanage. You didn't even show up. And we kind of had this back and forth dialogue, and I just said, you know what? I tell you what, let's just call it done. Refund me my 2 weeks, minus 10 hours, which is more than generous for the time that he worked. And I was like, and we'll just call it a day. And still haven't received the money back. And honestly, I don't know if I ever will. But if I do, fantastic. I would just guess probably not. So from there, then I ended up finding Upwork. So, and this is just kind of the process of like discovering new things. Like, when we're talking about our identity mantra is explore the unknown, I conquer new frontiers. My journey is powerful. My wake is a wealthy legacy. Well, this here, guys, is me exploring the unknown, conquering new frontiers. So as I'm going through this journey, I've looked at all these ways to hire in person. Now I'm looking at ways to hire virtually. Came across a lady who's now actually, as of the time of this recording, on our team. Everything's going really good right now. So hopefully continued success there. Found her from Upwork. So I was like, okay, let's give this a shot. Using her from Upwork. So far, so good. I did a lot more research around virtual assistant companies. I originally heard of a company called My Outdesk. So that's kind of where my research began. From there, it kind of fingered off. I found several other different companies. Along the way, I ended up finding this company, Power ISA. One of the reasons that we were really attracted to this company over the other ones was that they're based in Mexico and they have bilingual ISAs, so they can speak English and Spanish. And to us, we're in North Texas. There's a lot of, probably about 30-40% of our leads only speak Spanish. So this was extremely helpful for us. So we said, yeah, that was a team that we went with. One of the other things that's really cool, they offer a ton of training to their inside sales agent, both before placement and during placement. So they're kind of like a job fulfillment agency kind of thing, where they're like they place talent with companies. That's essentially what they're doing for us with a virtual ISA. But they're also going to give me a lot of training as the team lead on how can we build our CRM to make this process as simple and smooth and easy and effective as possible. But then also, how can we make that process where we connect from ISA to agent as smooth as possible? How can we build up the agents to be good at these call scripts, not just the ISA, so that way we can build a really successful and powerful pipeline. So really excited for that. That will give us two inside sales agents, both one lady from the Philippines. Probably what I'm going to have her schedule be is 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Again, I've done a lot of research on what's the best call windows for all these, callbacks and calling leads and stuff like that. 8 a.m. to about 11 a.m., 12 p.m. There's kind of a debate there, but somewhere in that range, that's a really good initial call window. The other really great call window is 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And so what I'd love to have is a second ISA work from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday. And so that allows us to cover, most of the week all day. And then it allows us to cover, Monday through Saturday, so 6 days a week, and also be able to reach out to leads on all those days. We have a lot of people around here in North Texas. We're in the Bible Belt. A lot of people go to church. So I decided I didn't want any of our inside sales agents calling leads on Sundays because I don't want to create frustration. But that allows us to cover Monday through Saturday, somebody full-time taking on that role. People who are trained, they've done this before, but then also we're getting more training, more scripts in order to be able to just continue doing this better and better. But we're at the very beginning of building out this process. So you're talking now weeks and weeks of hard just to get to this point of figuring out what's a good solution for hiring an inside sales agent. Man, it sure would have been nice if I had known about this solution from the get-go, but I will say on the other hand, I appreciate this solution a heck of a lot more because of all the pain that I had to go through. One of the things I'm really excited about, though, is we're planning to pay our ISA $20 an hour for one person. For now, for $20 an hour, we have two ISAs, and I'm also going to be able to receive training as a team lead on how to work with the ISA and build a really awesome process through Power ISA. So it's like coaching and two ISAs, all for the same price they're originally planning to pay for somebody in person. Seems like a really awesome deal to me. So I'm very excited about how it's worked out, but I'm not so excited about the pain that it took to get here. but I feel like that's kind of the story of the life of an entrepreneur. Um, you know, another big thing that happened over the last few weeks is we had to let two really good contractors go. And it's hard to let somebody go who's really a strong person. There was really no other good reason of letting them go outside of we didn't need their services anymore. One of them was the lady that we're working with for recruiting on our brokerage right now. At least for the next few months, we're putting recruiting on pause while we build our leads process and our purchase processes until we get to the point that we feel like those teams are well enough established and we have enough of a process that we could actually effectively bring in more agents to continue building out and working on top of the process we built even better than we are right now just because we have more manpower. But right now, I feel like we have plenty of manpower. We just need more processes. And having all the people in place has actually really shown us where we're weak. So now we're going back to the drawing board, back to build out mode. How do we make these processes better so that way we can bring in more people to learn the process and do the thing, and really build out something amazing. So, now you think like, all this difficulty just to get to this first step of, okay, now we've got ISAs in place. And I say we have ISAs. We have one ISA, and the goal is over the next 2 to 3 weeks, get another ISA placed. I've got an onboarding call with Power ISA on Monday to begin that process. And then they said it's about 10 to 18 days from there. I do go to the beach here in just a few weeks, mid-August. And so it's a lot to happen just before I leave town. I'll be out for a week, but then the great part is I've got a lot of time to really focus on this to the end of the year. And hopefully we can hit the beginning of next year, 2026, really, really strong in that spring market. But going back to those contractors, one was our tech guy. It was so hard because it was like, man, you haven't done anything wrong. There's nothing you could have done better. We just don't need those tech services anymore at this moment. And I need that. Like, we're already losing money. I need that budget in order to be able to hire an ISA. I can't keep you and bring on the ISA. Very hard to let them go. But it was a decision that had to be made. Same with recruiting. We don't need to recruit right now. We can actually offload a lot of those marketing responsibilities to someone who's handling our marketing in-house for the exact same amount of hours she's currently working. So effectively, just we are able to get rid of the cost and we're not going to increase costs, and we can get the same amount of work done. That was a no-brainer because again, I needed those dollars in order to be able to pay an inside sales agent because that's the next piece of the process that we have to build. We get some powerful ISAs in that role. The next thing that we're going to have to focus on is really training and coaching around how do the agents convert those leads into those appointments into actually closed transactions. And then once we have enough of those coming across and we're starting to build the right direction, we can then bring in more agents to do more of that process, and then really help us kind of build out into the future. But man, there's just been an overflow of work between interviews and working leads and all the other tasks. And I can't even tell you right now how much of a weight off it feels, just even over the last 2 days, knowing that all the leads inside of our system are being taken care of by an ISA. And right now, she's just on cleanup duty. That our ISA, her name's Jean. She's just in there cleaning up all of the leads inside the system, cleaning up our company inbox, all the stuff that fell short because I was spinning 10 different plates. I was like, hey, here's all the stuff that's like backlogged. I need you to go ahead and clean all that stuff up. And then we need to go and reach out to all of our old leads that are inside the CRM and make sure that they go through a proper drip campaign, make sure they're not still shopping or anything like that before we end up, moving them to a long-term follow-up drip sequence. And then we can start bringing in more fresh leads. So there's definitely a lot of cleaning house that's going to happen over the next few weeks, as we kind of look to the future and think, okay, what does it look like when we are ready to turn on more ads? We're working also to get our P&L as a company, our purchase and loss statement, organized after 6 months of just sprinting so hard as a company. So we just hired somebody to take care of our books and accounting. And I'll tell you what, the books were just an absolute mess. I've spent multiple long sessions with our accountant looking through all of the numbers, trying to remember back like, oh, this was this and that. Like, we've done quite a few things. Now we have 18 agents, plus then you have Nathan and myself, and we've got, a couple part-time people now. So there's probably about 22 persons that are involved with the brokerage on a day-to-day basis. Lots of moving parts, lots of things happening. We are beginning to move the right direction. I think when I looked at the board just the other day, we actually had just crossed 30 deals completed as a brokerage, which is so awesome in our first few months. And so our goal is 100. And so we're starting to really pick up a little bit of steam there and move the right direction on getting that direction with the brokerage and hitting our goals. But yeah, there was lots of things to work out on the P&L and just like things miscategorized, not understanding what stuff was. We didn't get paid right on stuff. And it's just part of the process of like, oh, we paid too much for this. We didn't get paid enough on this transaction. We're having to go back and redo our books. And it's just been doing so many other things like doing that stuff that's just keeping organized with that day to day just hasn't been one of the top priorities because we've been building so much. And again, the pain of a startup company. um, it was really exciting. We are near the finish line on three of our agents, actually all representing one lead that they have closed. Kevin's definitely closed one, I know for sure. I think Blair's is upcoming, and then Michael's got a lead that's working their way towards closing right now as we speak. There's a little bit of time there because I think it's like a new mobile or something that they're buying. I can't really remember for sure, to be honest with you guys. I've, again, been spread very thin, doing a lot of other things, and ISA hiring has been the biggest thing that's been on side of my mind. And now we're in a place where we need an amazing ISA to really just help ramp up that productivity even more as we go through the rest of the summer and the rest of the year. So, man, it's been crazy. Learned a lot of great lessons with the brokerage. Had some really cool investing wins in the stock market. Um, I'll quickly touch on, we took a win on a gold trade, took a 30% win on CONI, took like 10% on the gold trade. We took like 20% on BITO plus all the dividends that we've accrued over time. Currently have orders out there to buy Coney on a dip, to buy BITO on a dip. We're in TSLY. Tesla just came out with earnings. Unfortunately, they were not positive, and the stock price moved down, which pulled TSLY down. I was like, oh, I was really hoping we were going to get something that was going to push us up, obviously. But neither here nor there. It's okay. We're still working our way on that trade. Just bought into some more CONY, and then have some more orders set below to buy CONY on a further dip. So if it takes off, at least I'm partially in, but I've got three more orders down below to enter in more. It's just exciting to see all of it kind of come together. Now we're receiving passive income from our high yield savings. Libby and I relooked at the budget. We've got at least, I think, $400, give or take. We had talked $800 at one point. It was like, nah, it's gonna be too much tight on the budget. So I think we're gonna end up somewhere around like 400 ish. We're still kind of working out the details once we roll into August of how much free cash flow we'll have just for my paycheck to reinvest as well. We also have dividends coming in from those high yield dividends. Quarterly, we have dividends coming in from SPLG, but those aren't very big. But just to have that passive income rolling in, to have the investments working, to see trades working, to see all the time and energy I put into trading over the years and learning that process now just starting to pay off in a small way. That's some really cool wins. It's interesting too. I was looking at my goal tracker the other day that I actually have hung up on my wall. And even though it's been a tumultuous, difficult, strenuous first 6 months of the year as we've been trying to build this brokerage, when I looked at that the other day, I realized there were so many goals I had written on that paper at the beginning of the year that I've already met. So even though it's been painful, doesn't mean it hasn't been a successful year. It's just been a lot of, tilling the ground, planting seeds, watering, watching it rise up, taking the harvest and then turning around and replanting a lot of seeds, like taking almost 100% of the harvest and almost basically feels like taking all that and tilling the soil again, planting all those seeds again to where we don't see really any reward from it. It just all goes back into the ground, but we're able to do a larger planting and just kind of doing that process over and over again. It's been challenging. It's definitely had its difficulties, but it's paying off, and we're really excited about some of the fruit that we're beginning to see. So, with all that said, guys, I just wanted to make sure that I jumped on, put a little update together because it has been so many weeks. I'm sorry if it was a little bit all over the place, but it was important to me that I at least got something out there because it had been so long since the last update. Let's close out today with our identity mantra before we end today's episode. I'll say it first. You guys say it after me. I explore the unknown. I conquer new frontiers. My journey is powerful, and my wake is a wealthy legacy. Awesome, guys. And remember, the way we define wealth here is simply the ability to cover your monthly expenses without having to lift a finger. And legacy, the way we define that is leaving a long lasting impact on others who come after you as they receive the fruit of your labor, whether that fruit be good or bad. If you guys enjoyed today's episode, please like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps the algorithm. Also, don't forget that we have some cool stuff in the description below, links to the Wealth Health Checkup, links to some other books and resources that have been super helpful for me in my journey getting to this point, as well as anything I add in my journey going forward. With all that said, guys, this has been another episode really dedicated to you and your own personal wealthy legacy journey. Go out there, simply take the right next steps today, and I cannot wait to hear y'all's success story. I'll talk to you guys on the next episode. Bye, everybody.